Welcome back, peeps. Okay, so this is the second tutorial. What we're going to be working on this one is just setting up our first enclosure so we can accept animals. Now, obviously, just to quickly run through, we've gone on the first one, we've gone through and set up the facilities, put some paths, we'll snap paths to the barriers, etc. We'll put maybe a bit of a uh, it's just a two-dimensional or, just a basic rectangle type enclosure. You could be a little bit more, I suppose, fluid with the way that you want your glass and people to walk around your park rather than just be a bunch of rectangles and squares. I'll leave that up to you to be able to curve them and things like that. So let's put in, first of all, we're going to increase the height of some of it. We'll go into sculpting, we're going to use the pull function. I'm just going to leave it on standard and just raise some of the areas in the park, because depending on the type of animal, you probably want a little bit of, I suppose, landscaped flavor, as I would call it, into it to make the exhibit and the habitat interesting for the animals. Now, depending on the animals, obviously you're not going to have it too close where they can jump the fence. Yeah? So we'll just put some heights and stuff in there. I usually sculpt it and flatten it off using the flattened key, and as you can see, I just put that in like that, and then we can just put in maybe a platform for the top animals. I'll probably go for monkeys. I'm on tropical for the biome and using Asia, so just to get some types of monkeys and things like that. But you can choose whichever one. Obviously, different animals will be in savannas and different types of grasses and stuff. So, okay, so I've got that in place. Now, like I said, you don't need to be too critical of the type of bushes and trees, because some bushes and trees are going to be bad for some types of animals. So you've got to be, again, mindful of that, because you want the animals to have good welfare, or their welfare to be acceptable, and they're going to be happy. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of protesters that come to your zoo, and yes, you're right, they do protest. It's actually quite funny in actual fact if it does happen like that. Now, I think I told you before, but I've paused it so we can get the sun up high, and that way it's easier to see, because at night time it's very hard to create some landscaping features and put in facilities and stuff and paths. It's hard to see it. So you need to put a few things in place before you push the play button. You don't want visitors arriving, there's nothing to see. In the enclosure, you will need some basic things. So let's go to the habitat button, and in the habitat button up the top, food and water, which is the filter, and you can put down, I'm going to be going for a particular type of monkey. I'll put a feeding platform down so people can see the animals nice and close. We'll put that up fairly close so they can look through there. We'll put in a food tray that's small. We don't need a big food tray by no means either. If you've got a feeding platform, you probably don't really need a food tray, but I'll put one in anyway, and a water bowl, which I'm going to have a large one for them. As you can see, it went red, is because you can't have them too close together. The other thing to put in is going to be a shelter for them to jump in. That's an 8x4x2. It's quite a sort of a bit of a large one. Again, you can hold the Z key down and just rotate it by moving the mouse left and right. As you can see, the arrow points to where the front of it is. And we might put this one on an angle. As you can see, I've got that elevated already up a little bit higher. You can move that by just hitting the move or the advanced move button. And that just allows you to place it a bit better, because it stops the edges falling off the edge of the dirt. Now, these particular monkeys, which you'll see soon, don't like long grass, but we'll deal with that a bit later. Now we can go to get the monkeys you want. My suggestion also at some stage is to get the type all the zoo keepers and the other staff into your zoo beforehand. To do that, you just go to zoo, you go to staff, and then you get like a caretaker. He's not going to drop down on the ground because I've got the play function going, of course. So I've got it on pause, so he's just going to be mid-ear for the moment. We'll get a keeper going. We'll get a mechanic. We'll get a security guard, and we will get a veterinarian. Now we don't need a vendor at this stage because we haven't got any. As you can see, I'll just take it off pause. We'll jump down. I'll pause it again. So that's the guys in place. As you can see, it's just a sort of like a spreadsheet, so to speak, of their pays and whether they're happy or not. It's very similar to the Planet Coaster. I'll just come back to that in a moment, but what we're going to do is we're going to get some animals. So then you can go to the animal trading, highlight the animal trading tab, and then go down to the type of animals you want. Now I'm going to go for the monkeys because they're always quite interesting. It's a good one to demonstrate. So we'll go down to there we go. There's the Japanese ones. It's these ones here. So we've got 3 females, and we've got all females here. So it's pretty boring. So much for mating. Let's go down further. And so the chimpanzees, as you can see here, they've got red next to them, so you can't adopt them. So it's okay. We'll go back up. Oh, Jaguar's available, which is quite nice. There's the Colombian monkey. So we'll grab these Colombian monkeys. There's a female, a male, and a female. So we'll grab these ones. And all you do is just click on it and adopt. Click on it and adopt, and click on it and adopt. So those 3, they obviously cost some money, and I've adopted those 3 now. And you can actually just go to the animal storage just by clicking on them. We'll go to this particular button on the left here and click on them and then send to the zoo. Now when you click that button, it asks you for a habitat or an enclosure of where you want to send them. As you can see, the whole barriers change and get highlighted where you can put them in. So I'm going to put them in there. Delivery scheduled. Second one, send to the zoo. Send it to the same spot. Third one, send to the zoo. And there it goes. So those 3 are now going to be relocated. So when I take this from pause into play, these workers, the zookeeper will go off to and grab the box and then bring the monkey into the enclosure. So now before that starts, I'm going to need to have, very importantly, a guest facilities under that filter. Grab a donation box because that's one of the major areas where you're going to get more money from. So you can put some donation boxes around. That one's not equidistance in there, so I just hit Control Z. We'll just make that nice and tidy right in the middle. And I always put one down by the entrance because you'd be surprised how full that gets when people are leaving the park and they've still haven't quite got empty pockets. So now I'll put the donation boxes in. We haven't got any food or beverage facilities, so therefore I haven't put any rubbish containers around there yet, but that's probably going to be sooner rather than later as well. Okay, so now I'm going to start playing this, and we'll just push the play button, and you'll see one of these guys will rush off. As you can see, he's the zookeeper. He's going in there, and he'll come out with a box, and they'll bring it to the habitat. Now the reason why I haven't put any bushes or trees in here, as I mentioned earlier, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm putting in the wrong trees or bushes, and if I do, it will let me know. So let's get these little monkeys in here. As you can see, he's going to pop it in. And there we go. We've got a monkey. There's 2 of them there. And he's running away. Okay, so you click on one of the monkeys, and then you'll go to the terrain. And you can see that the hard shelter and terrain, is okay. However, the grass is long. It says there it's too long, needs less grass, and the animal needs more soil. So it needs less grass and more soil. So you can just put a lot more soil down. So that's what it's telling you to do. And you just go to the terrain button and grab the painting and go to the soil. So I'm just going to put soil down. I'll probably make the soil around here. And as I'm doing that, you can see soil's going up. And if I do that, the grass long is coming down. So I'm just putting some extra soil in place to make the habitat. Lots of people arriving already. Put some soil around there. Okay, so the grass is long, now it's green, and the soil's up. So that's probably good enough. I don't need to worry about that for the moment. Now I'll go to the environment, which is the next button tab across the top. It's still on the same monkey. As you can see, it's highlighted down below me. Now I've got to get the correct plants. So the correct plants that I'm going to be going for, we've got to go to nature. And we will go down to a particular bush or something. So here's a berry bush. And when you click on a bush, and I'll put the bush here somewhere, I might need to change the bush characteristics so it's not aligned to the surface. So it just sits. So if I click the button, if you look on the right hand side over here, plants and coverage, when I do it, if it hasn't changed it, and you see the X mark, that means that that particular bush is wrong for that biome. As you can see, it isn't for this biome. So I've got to click on it again and delete it, yeah, or just delete it on over there. So we'll put a poplar tree in there. So let's put a poplar tree in there. I click on that, and it says here the same thing. So it's the wrong plant. So you just click the X button and get rid of it. So there are, look, you can go to some of the, you know, there's a, I think there's sort of like a sort of a guide that you can go to be able to see which plants do it. But it's, you know, just do it by trial and error and stuff. There's a Brazil hazelnut tree. It's a pretty big tree. I don't know if it's probably a bit too big. But I put that on, as you can see, it didn't turn. So that's okay, it's 5%, yeah? But I'm going to put a smaller one of those on because, well, that is the smallest one by the look of it. The others are bigger. So that's probably a little bit too big. So we've done the poplar trees. So if I put bamboo in there, you can see it's the wrong type again. So I'll go back and we'll probably have to put one of those Brazil nut trees. We'll put that right in the center if you like. That one right there. Stick that in there for a bit of shade. I don't know how that's a bit of a shade, but anyway. And the bamboo we know is not going to help. Beech tree, so let's put in a beech tree as well. If I click on it, it does increase, and it's not giving me a red, so that's great news. So we'll go into a bigger beech tree at the back. I think that's way too big for this particular environment. Now hold the shift key if you want to go up and down, but I won't have it too close to the other. And we'll just put that in. As you can see at the top, it's starting to go orange from red. So we need some bushes in there, so we won't have those berry bushes. We all know that that's the wrong one. We'll go to bracken. Let's see how the bracken is. And if we click that, you can see straight away it's gone green. So that's great news. So any of the bracken ones is fine. I'll just put that in. So this one here is the coverage. Animal requires more plant and tree coverage. So I really will need to put some more trees in here. These are down rocks and stuff. I don't know if the reeds will probably play a part in the bushes. Maybe it will. So we'll just see. You put those, yeah, it does. So you can put those around near water and stuff like that. If we go back to the trees, I'll try a bird's nest plant. We'll see if those help. I might just maybe I'll align these to the surface. Easy for me to see. I click on that, and that's the wrong type, so that's no good. struggling here to find the right one, so try banana one. Okay, so the banana ones are fine. So I could put a few banana ones in place, and I know that that's going to be okay. Just change it, and if we go back to a different styled one, again it looks interesting, but I really want it to be so it's not going to, better not align it to surface because just gets out on the edge. There we go. And we'll need to, I could try and stick in a palm, see if that changes it. It does. And they're all okay, these plants, that's good. So put another one at the back. Again, keeping an eye on, there we go, we've got coverage and plants. So that's enough plants in that, and that's got our coverage. As you can see, it's getting darker. So we'll leave that at the moment. I now know that the its welfare, probably it has some moderate welfare issues, and that could be obviously enrichment is not, so we need to put some items in there as well to make it feel a bit better. So I'll cover that off. As you can see, it's 0 at the moment. We'll cover it off on the next one, and we'll put some lighting in so we can see what we're doing.